this, but I wanted to talk about kids and dogs. I made a reference, sorry, my nose is gonna run, and I have tissue hiding somewhere. It's just that time of season, and I have sinus issues. Sorry. Oh, that's disgusting, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's the lay of the land. I've lived with it since very young. At 7, I was given nasal spray. So kids, everybody's born with abilities, but kids see it because they're not, media. If you think about it, films, church, and I'm not saying anything bad about church, so please don't come for me, but we hear that the paranormal contacting it is evil. And so you get all of these factors, and so kids start to shut that aspect down. Now, how many kids think about when you were a child, and some of you had very real imaginary friends that weren't just fake. You saw them. They were real to you. I mean, they would sit across from you and have conversations, and your parents would hear, you talking to them. They'd be like, "Who are you talking to?" And you're like, my imaginary friend Timmy. Now, animals, of course, have, hearing and smell that are way different than ours. An animal that's staring or growling at things that, like, at a corner or stuff like that, I would heed notice to. Animals have a great sense of when it comes to the paranormal. A great sense. And so do children. My oldest daughter, I took her out to a home that sadly, this house actually, and I will get the history for you guys, and I'll talk more about it. This farmer had twin daughters, and he had made identical homes for them. And the one sister, and this is documented actually in Pomeroy, Washington's history, and you can drive out there and you can see remnants of what I'm going to talk about. So the one sister was jealous of the other sister's life. She trapped her. She invited her over because they lived not even a block from each other. And she invited her over, trapped her in her house, and burned her alive. Now, the root cellar, so they put root cellars in the hills because it keeps them colder. Still charred to this day. And I'll take you guys out there. When the roads are better, since I have a little car, it's absolutely crazy. The farmer started renting out. His daughter ended up getting in trouble. They found out, and he started renting out the house. Well, 4 or 5 women, I believe, and I'll know the true number when I should have been more prepared because I wasn't actually thinking about talking about this. Went crazy in this home. Like, tried killing their husband. The first lady tried killing her 5-year-old and her husband. And as soon as she moved out of that house, was out of that house, went completely back to normal. Next couple moves in. The woman starts going crazy again. And it's documented. Like, she damn near got away with, I mean, she probably wouldn't have got away with it, but she almost killed her husband and had no, this is so gross, sorry, had no homicidal tendencies, anything. Was all these women were cleared not insane and never were charged, but there was multiple couples that had moved into this home, and the women would go psychotic, and the farmer had enough of it, and he bulldozed the house. Well, I took my daughter and some friends out, and we were talking about the house, and my daughter said, "Mommy's, there's a dog. Can I go play with the dog?" And I said, "You see a dog?" She's like, "Yeah, he's right here, and he's friendly." And I was like, "Well, yeah, you can play with the dog." Because obviously she's seen something. At the time, I kept myself closed down. I didn't want to open up to things, and it's a safety mechanism. You learn when you're scared of certain things a little bit, you can close yourself down psychically and make that your abilities, just keep it where you're not opening yourself up to those things. But I could still feel that there were things there. And I felt the presence of evil. You could tell the ground, when that kind of stuff happens, the ground goes bad. And the ground actually needs to be fixed. And my daughter had been out there 2 or 3 times. She was 4. Each time saw something and would make comments. But she wasn't, kids are not, I was not, I felt my kids should pick their own religious beliefs. That was just something I felt was up to them, that as adults or teenagers, that they would come to believe what they wanted to believe, and I would support that belief. And she saw multiple things. My oldest saw lots of stuff. I mean, we would go to a lot of places. Not just because I haven't put an investigation out doesn't mean I've never been investigating. My mom was steeped in the paranormal. I was 5 years old playing cemetery tag at midnight. I mean, she would jump in our window to scare us, and we would go on, being Gen X, me and my brother both, babysitters were not a thing. They just were not a thing. And my mom would take us to investigations. And my brother, he was part of the Portland Paranormal Society. And he went out on his own. And we've both been seeped into the paranormal. And our mom would take us on investigations. That's just how it was. It started young, and then it frightened me for the longest time. And my brother's abilities are a little bit different than mine. And, you know, children, like I said, like my daughter, she could see those things because there was there was no barrier. There's no, you know, church, no stuff going, even watching TV. At paranormal, you know, shows were not really huge back then. You couldn't find a paranormal show to save your life when I was raised. And kids and dogs don't have the filters that we as adults do. And it's just one of those things. It's kids are very prone. You know, if you sadly children that are special needs, low vibrational entities love them. They are like a beam of light casted out in the sky for them, and they get picked on. And a lot of times these children are nonverbal, so they're not able to say what is afflicting them. And it takes, you know, a good investigator to go in and really check things out. And it's not just a one night thing. You have to be with those families for a while sometimes. Ruling out psychic issues is huge in investigating. And a lot of people don't like to hear this. Debunking is huge. But when children are involved, children are very open. And, you know, pay attention to their imaginary friends. If they can really describe it, and, you know, you get some kids that are great at, you know, they have great imaginations, but sometimes those imaginations are not their imagination. It is actually, they've latched on. Something that is, I hate hearing this, that there's a child's, like, spirit. Low vibrational entities love to pretend to be kids. Because you're calling out for little Timmy. Most kids do not stay. They are crossed over immediately. If a child is there, it's normally at asylums that you would find a child, because there was tragedy, excuse me, and they're stuck there and they need to be crossed. But a lot of these asylums have picked up that the paranormal pays. You get these big teams in that are willing to pay the money, and there are child spirits there, but not in a lot of these homes that claim that they have child spirits. Kids get crossed over very quickly. They go. Kids are not normally ones that'll stay. And that's a huge misconception. Children do not stay. So it's normally something else pretending to be a child. And it's going to say it's a child because you're giving it attention and food. The more it can scare you and get you to interact with it, it's able to feed off you. And people don't heed the signs. Like, they'll say, you know, well, I've got a headache, or I'm nauseated, or I feel a little different, and they don't walk out. That's when an investigation, it's time to get out, get away from that energy, and hit the reset button. Because something else, there isn't a little girl there or a little boy. Normally, if they died very young, and it's not they died of maybe smallpox. They've passed over. It's something else playing the part of that child. And people don't get that. A lot of investigators, now, I don't see a lot of investigators, they don't use the tools that are really big that you should use as an investigator. I'm not going to take at face value what a homeowner has to say. Somebody that's charging me to go in and investigate their house for YouTube, of course they're going to tell you all this stuff. Go take the time, if you know you're going somewhere, and talk to the town historians. They're very good at knowing stuff. Go to the libraries or look it up online. You can call courts and records, and a lot of times you can find deaths and what has happened at that home, and you'll find that a lot of claims that are made aren't true. You have to do your due diligence with investigating. You can't just, you can run into a place and take it for face value, but anybody can say anything. There's lots of scammers out there. You think there's not scammers of the paranormal? I mean, I see fake videos all the time. Like last night I was watching just something random, and it was in Jamaica, and you could tell it was a mannequin, and he's like, this woman won't leave, and you could tell it was a poorly dressed mannequin, like blonde hair, like cut up, like blonde hair, like threw on a wig and a white hoodie, and you could tell that it was a mannequin. Well, and the next time he shows her, he had covered the head. And this woman would have had to been like 8 feet tall. Okay, yes, ghosts can walk through things. They can walk by cameras, and a camera's not going to pick it up. It's just not. But this was no ghost. This was somebody knowing that the paranormal pays and got many views. It went viral, and I was like, this is faker than crap. Like, if you didn't see the first part that it was definitely a mannequin in the skin, go back and rewatch, because it should have never went viral. Like, the guy takes a stick and he bangs on the fence, and I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? Like, you're making a mockery, sadly, of the paranormal. And the paranormal is not a circus act. And kids should not be exploited. I agree with a fellow investigator that has 30 plus years in it. I don't think kids should, if you're investigating a home with children, unless they're old enough to consent, like 17, 18, upwards in there, I don't think they should be on video. I think that's an investigation that belongs in just that you investigated, and that's where I come in to help, because I do know how to get rid of those type of spirits. And a lot of times earthbound spirits will be, let's talk about, you get in a car accident. Now, the last thing you remember is you were driving down I-95 headed home, and you hear people asking you to do all this stuff. You're thinking, am I haunted? And you don't realize that you have passed. And they get stuck here because they haven't been talked through that tragedy. They need to be told, hey, you did pass. You know, it's time to go be with your loved ones. And a lot of times they'll walk away. A low vibrational entity, they like to play games. They're the type that will manipulate your head. They, if things aren't dealt with properly, like restoring the ground with a lot of places, a lot of times the ground gets tainted. When there's like 2 murders in a same home, the ground gets tainted. And then people keep on, you notice a trend of where they're not keeping people in the home. And I'm kind of skipping through topics, I'm sorry, but it's stuff I want to talk about that I think really needs to be, that investigators need to think about. You know, if a home's being occupied where people are moving out a lot and they're making claims of stuff, there's probably something going on. And somebody needs to come in. And there are people with true abilities. To think that, to say you're empathic, but not believe that somebody has an ability, what's somebody empathic? They have an ability to feel other emotions. How would you not think that somebody might have an ability to hear what's across, you know, somebody that has passed? You know, it's not a stretch. You can't have it both ways, because empathic people feel your emotions. They're more sympathetic, and they can read your emotion. Well, there are psychics that don't lie, that don't, you know, go in a room of 1,000 people and say a grandmotherly person passed, and like, I'll do my reads over the phone, because, and I'll make it where you can't ask questions, because people will, like, you know, eyebrows. All a fake psychic needs to do is be able to read your facial expressions. Of course, if you've got an arena full of people, somebody's had a grandmother that passed, or a husband, a child, so it's an easy target. And then it gives people like me, who hide my abilities and don't like talking about them so much, because they go, oh, you're a liar. And then I tell them something that I would not know. And I've lost 2 people. Like, I had 2 people come on, and they don't give me a chance. They don't want to hear what I have to say. And it's sad. We need to not make fun of the paranormal. We need to not treat them, you know, if you do get a response. And I've seen true investigations where they've gotten a real response. Thank them for that. Even if it's, I mean, I've seen scratches and burns. You know, don't thank them for those type of responses, because you're dealing with something that it's lowered its vibration, or it never walked this earth. If it doesn't have light in it, it has to be dealt with in a different way. All true psychics have guardians. And as we advance through our clairs, and not every psychic sees or hears the same things. Some can only see, some can just hear them, some can just feel the energy. Not every psychic's the same. It's just like, you know, not each person's the same. And we have to get to a point where the paranormal is very real. It's an amazing thing to see entities pass over that have been stuck here. But also, we need to protect our children. I don't think children should be exploited. Kids are great targets, like I said before earlier, for the paranormal. And a lot of people with abilities hide because they're made fun of. They're told we're liars or we're making it up. And how do you know until you get a reading? I charge nothing for a reading. Now, I've watched on YouTube. Now, I can flick to another channel and somebody's reading tarot cards that know nothing about tarot cards, reading off a sheet of paper, and they're charging $20 for a 3-card read. And people are lapping it up like crazy. I charge nothing for a reading. If you have something that's happened, a loved one that you maybe have answers that are you need answers, I'm willing to give you those for free. I was given this gift for a reason, and I have, my opinions about certain things. I see a lot of things. I see the paranormal treated as a circus act with some of these homes. There's many of these homes that claim a lot of stuff that people will pay an exuberant amount to go investigate. And guess what? They've lied about murders. They've lied about all this stuff. And do your due diligence. Do your homework. Because not everybody's going to tell the truth. Who wants to go to a home that has minimal activity that, the person's like, yeah, once in a while, we might get a door slam when there's no airflow and, it's April, no windows are open, or something will go missing, something small, little things. That doesn't sell. That does not sell on YouTube. It just doesn't. People like to see their visual. They want to see REM pods going off. They want to see things that have been debunked by true scientists that people are being fraudulently getting money for lying about homes, or there are people that fraudulently lie about being haunted. There's somebody in England that makes a lot of money between things that lies about. I mean, his haunting, and has been caught by many big debunkers like Beardo and the Side-Eye Guy, and that's sad. That's making a mockery of the paranormal. But I am going to get back to what I was saying about kids. Kids don't have the filters. And I would like to know what you think. Leave a comment why you think kids see the paranormal. Why are animals more apt to be tuned to the paranormal. Because I've seen dogs react to stuff that, that are really there. I've seen cats, and everybody knows how cats are. Cats are of their own accord. But when a cat is staring excessively at something and really looking at that, pay attention to those things. There are truly other dimensions. We live on top of each other, and it bleeds through. It bleeds through, a lot of something I'm going to bring up is, as a nurse, I took care of a lot of people that were methamphetamine users, and they all said something. They saw shadow people. They were seeing the paranormal. They lowered their vibration so much with the drugs that they were bleeding into the paranormal realms. There are many people that hide that they can hear or see things, that they can astral project in their sleep, because we get treated so poorly. And it's sad. I mean, I went up to Moscow, which it's an area I know well, and you cannot tell me that at that time that nobody heard those 4 college students being brutally taken. That area is so, it is house upon house. I didn't see any new construction. Trust me, I heard everybody tell me, oh, you're wrong, family, everything. I was up there. I walked up and down in very cold weather, and there was no way nobody heard what happened. Not people fighting for their lives. It's stacked there. Just a park was crazy. And yeah, I went when, of course, it wasn't the busiest time of year, but there are people that live full time there. And I could take a picture from the Statesman and put it with a video of mine, and you could see the U of I sign decorated for Christmas. And in my video, you could see the U of I sign. Where's that house gone? There's nothing new there. There's no barren land. I walked up and down there. I drove around for a good hour looking for the place before I even started filming, and was said I was on drugs. It was awful. And I've kind of skipped topics a little bit, but this is stuff that I want you to think about when you start watching paranormal shows. And I will be putting investigations out very soon. I'm waiting on some equipment. I could go and with cat balls have been debunked, but I do think if you get something that can react to it and it goes not just off randomly, and it's going off as you're talking to something, that can be considered somewhat evidence. Now, apps, I'm a little leery to use because there's not a lot of apps out there that, you know, I don't know if $7.99 really pays to see a ghost or not. I will be interviewing some people, and I am going to try to get into the Civic Theater where multiple murders happened, and a suspect of these murders and a little girl disappearing the same day was asleep and said he heard nothing, and they were very close to this. And I'm gonna go up and show the building in the day, and then at night I kind of want to not break in. I kind of would like to speak to them. There's some cemeteries I would like to go to that I will be taking you guys, but I will be interviewing and being interviewed as well by a friend. We both have experiences in the paranormal. There's an oyster factory he's going to talk about that is, I can't wait to go. It's going to be an awesome experience, and I think it's going to be something great, and I hope that people go and show the love. And I know I've kind of rambled through this, and you know, if you're new and you come across me, give me a chance. I'm new at this. It's weird to be my age and start off a channel. I know I need to be a little more together with things, but I promise I'll get there. Everybody looks back at their first videos and cringes, but we all have to start somewhere, right? So please, if you have if you can, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. I would like to see 100 at least subscribers within the middle of February. Hopefully I will have that when I get an investigation out. It's cooking. It's just, there's things I'm waiting on, and you know, paranormal equipment is not cheap. A REM pod is $189. Infrared cameras, if you're gonna get a decent one, not cheap. I do want an epoch machine. That's around $270. Those are really all the equipment I really want to use. Besides, I do like what Connor Biddle uses. He uses the camera that it's on his chest, and it gives a great view, but that's also not cheap. But things come in good timing, and I think with learning to be on YouTube and be a little less scattered, and hopefully the next time you see me, it will be a better experience. Excuse my nose, sorry. It is, I think, probably 20 degrees outside, so it's not real warm, and then I have sinus issues. But hopefully I gave you some food for thought, and I get some great comments. And have a great night. Hopefully my friend Kai will come on, and you will see a little or hear a little between us both talking about each other and asking each other questions. Hopefully you'll get to see that. Should be tonight, hopefully, for a little bit. I think I con into a couple minutes, at least half an hour. But you have a great night, and hopefully you give me a chance. It can only get better from here. Have a great night.